For those of you that do not know, a home equity line of credit is a great way to build wealth or restructure the debt that you already have. But if you do not fully understand how it works in the payment structure, then you are setting yourself up for failure and throwing money out the window. When I first pulled out my home equity line of credit, I didn't fully understand the repayment structure, but I'm very glad that I researched and asked a bunch of questions to my loan officer before actually using it. In this video, I will be going over the draw period, the repayment period, your payment calculation, the variable interest rates, and why I believe you should only use a home equity line of credit for shorter term debt. What's up, everybody? My name is Evan Phoenix, and this channel is all about real estate investing and my journey to financial independence through real estate investing. So if that's something that you're interested in, consider going down and subscribing to my channel. So the draw period of a home equity line of credit is basically the time in which you can actually pull from the home equity line of credit and use it. During this period, which is typically 5 to 10 years, you can use the HELOC as you wish, pay it back, or only pay the interest-only payments on it. And you can spend up to your approved credit limit. Think of it very similar to a credit card, to where you have a limit and you can spend up to that limit and pay only interest-only payments on the money that you used. But keep in mind that if you wish, you can pay off the principal as well during this draw period. And if that's the case and you were to pay off the money that you used, you now have a balance of zero and can spend up to your limit again. The main differences between a HELOC and a credit card, though, is that a home equity line of credit has a variable interest rate, meaning that it moves with the prime rate of the market. And you can only use the home equity line of credit during that draw period. And like I said before, it's between 5 to 10 years typically. Okay, so once your draw period is up, you now move into the repayment period. So before, when you were in the draw period, you were only required to pay interest-only payments on the money that you used. But now that we moved into the repayment period, now it is the principal and interest that you will have to pay monthly. And the repayment period is typically between 10 and 20 years. Specify with where you're getting your home equity line of credit so they can give you an accurate timeline. Now, I do want to point out that in the repayment period, this is where a lot of people can make mistakes if you do not prepare ahead of time. And what I mean with that, let's say that you got a HELOC for $10,000 and you withdrew all $10,000 because you wanted to use it for whatever. Well, let's just say for easy numbers, you're paying $90 on the interest every single month on that $10,000 that you used. Well, then as you adjust and move into the repayment period to where you can't use your HELOC anymore and you still have an outstanding balance on the home equity line of credit, well, now you have to pay interest and the principal on the money that you borrowed. And let's say that pushes your payment up to $250 per month. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but that is a significant difference, especially for people that have a lot of other expenses that they have to pay for monthly. So if you do not prepare and you end up spending all this money and then ending up having to have a higher payment to which you feel comfortable, well, then you're stuck in a hard position and you may not be able to make those payments. And the other thing you have to make a note of is if the interest rate rises, because it is a variable interest rate, but more on that in a little bit. Okay, so how do you actually go and see what your payment calculation would be if you were to draw the full amount from your home equity line of credit? So this is extremely easy. All you have to do is type in home equity line of credit calculator in the internet, find a website that provides a calculator, and then type in your information. Basically, you would put how much you're taking from your home equity line of credit. You would put the interest rate and the amount of time you have to pay it back. This will not only give you the interest only during the draw period, but it will also give you the principal and interest once everything is said and done and you move into that repayment period. I highly suggest, before even using the home equity line of credit, for you to go out, calculate your numbers, and see what it would be with the interest only payments as well as the principal and interest, so you know what you're getting yourself into. And if worst case scenario, if you'd be even able to make the payments on the principal and interest if you had to carry your balance into the repayment period. Okay, so I touched on this a little earlier, but this may be the most important part of using a home equity line of credit, which is that there's a variable interest rate when using it. So let me explain a little further. When you first apply and get approved for a home equity line of credit, they will give you a starting interest rate. But with a variable interest rate, it means that it moves with the prime rate of the market. The prime rate is an indicator by the government to pretty much dictate what the interest rate should be based on the market. So for example, when I was approved for my home equity line of credit, I was starting out at a 4.5% interest rate. But since then, the market has been going down and the interest rate is at about 7.5%, which is way more than what I was initially expecting at that 4.5%. So just because you start off and you get approved for a certain interest rate doesn't mean it will not grow and be higher. And this is exactly why I think a home equity line of credit is made for shorter term debt, because you cannot predict the market and it can fluctuate so much. The last thing you want to do is draw too much from your home equity line of credit. Then the interest rate rises to something unbearable and something that you can't even pay for. And then you are stuck in a hard position, not being able to pay off the monthly payments, and you get caught further and further behind. Make sure to keep this in mind and do not overdraw from your home equity line of credit. Now that you know exactly how a home equity line of credit has to be paid back, you can move forward with confidence. I confidently say that a home equity line of credit can be used to create generational wealth, but only if it's used correctly and only if you know what you're doing. So if you want to know how to create generational wealth with a home equity line of credit, make sure to check out this video. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Happy investing.